So just to remind us, we're in the middle of chapter 5, and chapter 5 is Kidimas. Kidimas is the order of preference. Of course, we had the list. I'm going to repeat the list, but it was like 20. Okay, here we go. 21 points, all of the priorities from top to bottom. Of course, we said that we're going through the exceptions, but that's a straightforward list of priorities. Okay, so part number 5, setting aside now for later use. One would be permitted to set as Maaser funds to assist a relative who plans to marry and study Torah full-time. Even at the present time, there are indigents who are in need of the Tzedakah. However, we must be certain that the following 3 qualifications fulfilled before we continue. So, meaning the situation is that somebody is going to need, for example, he said his relative, right? Like, okay, example, relative, who is going to need a Tzedakah. Let's say my brother is planning to go to yeshiva, like leave his job, and that's what actually we were working on for a few people, younger fellows in their early 20s to go to study yeshiva. So we found a beautiful yeshiva in Jerusalem. It's free, and somebody even told me this pure soul. He said, I want to tell you, so if they're going to behave nicely there, if they're going to come to the prayers and stuff like that, they're even going to reimburse them for a ticket. Very interesting, like a plane ticket. I mean, how can you go wrong with free food? Like he said, good food, good like standing in Yerushalayim, Leib. I'm not sure where the issue is, but that doesn't make any difference. And plus some money, and they're going to reimburse you. So of course, I'm working on people to go there. Right, so of course maybe he needs some expense, pay for some expenses, whatever is it. So let's say he's my brother, let's say, right, and I'll set aside this money so he can learn Torah. Okay, so even though, as it says, there are other indigents, poor people who in need of tzedakah right now, and these guys, Beezrat Hashem, this class should be dedicated for him not to break with Tzedakah. So I told him not to tell anybody. One guy, I said, keep it as much secret as possible, because relatives, of course, they're against, right? One of this mother that we spoke about, that she basically enslaved her son, right? She's divorced and she bought an apartment she cannot afford. Because why? Because the younger son is not married, so he should pay for the apartment. Why not? Very interesting. Okay. So, but however, one must be certain to fulfill 3 qualifications are fulfilled. Number 1, his relatives must be eligible to accept Maaser funds at the time they're given to him. So, meaning that he's a pretty poor person, like this guy. He leaves his job and goes. I mean, I don't think people in their early 20s they have a big savings they can live a few years old. I don't think so. The guy is not struggling. He has a job, stable job, but I don't think he has any savings. Okay. So meaning that the person must be eligible to accept Maaser. Okay. Number 2, the relatives must presently be of a marriageable age. Very interesting. So now we said that marry and study Torah. Who plans to marry and study Torah full time. Okay, so meaning here we're talking about this specific example, not whatever I gave, but this specific example in the book, that he wants to go to Kollel. So as we said, that to support somebody in Kollel whose profession is going to be Torah, that's a huge deal, right? Okay. So of course the wife cannot work all the time. So she's pregnant. She's with kids. So okay, so somebody has to pay. Okay, a relative must be presently in manageable age. So if he's in 17 years old and he decided to go to yeshiva, so it's not exactly. Usually people don't get married at 17 years old, 18 years old. Okay, a little older, yes. Okay, and third one. One must separate and remove Maaser money from, that's one of the very important, one's possession. There is open separate account for the money. One should also not use more than half of Maaser funds for relatives, as will be explained. And this is the big one. And I had some people like over and over and over again, so they want to do tzedakah and they struggle and stuff like that. And I told them, don't, okay, so I know the situations. So I told them, like one specific family, you're not obligated to give tzedakah. So whatever you do, so just spend on kosher food, and that's it. So don't starve your children, don't do all of this craziness. Right, so you're not obligated to do tzedakah. And then they would tell, yeah, we set up tzedakah and we want to be part of it and this and that. And guess what? After a few weeks, they say, we spent all of the money, all of the tzedakah, all of Maaser. Okay, I said, since you're poor people, you can count as you gave it to yourself. But it's not proper, like if you decided to give tzedakah, I mean, for all, not this family, but other people. So give it right away. If you cannot trust yourself that you're not going to spend, so that's you must give it right away. So if you find, if as the author say, you have a separate account, so this is my account and this is tzedakah account, there is no problem. Right? As I said, there's people, but I'm not sure if it's in all of the banks. In my bank, like you can have multiple accounts that they're all free. So I mean, once you open one account, so you have a multiple account. You can of course move money from one account to another. I mean, I think it's for convenience, right? They charge exactly the same amount for one, or I'm not sure up to how many, maybe 3 or 5. Okay, so this Maaser is the best. Me personally, I'm not worried that I'm going to spend Maaser, but I prefer to spend it right away, to send my money right away. Okay, but if person is not sure about himself, don't do it. Okay. Since setting aside money for later tzedakah use, result of withholding Maaser funds, a Rav should be consulted. Right. And plus one more thing, as they say, a person should not spend more than 50% for the family, right? Because it's not right. Of course, there is exception. We're going to talk about exception, but as a matter of rule, we should not. Like of course, we have rich relatives, and others are not so fortunate. They don't have anybody to help them. So if we're going to spend all of the money on the family, so what about other people?